American Morning, the most news in the morning, period. Weekdays 6 Eastern.
Playing sports can take an enormous toll on your body, but what about your mind? In our special medical series, Concussion and the Brain, our Dr. Sanjay Gupta looks at brain trauma that can easily go undetected.
Punishing blows have become an inextricable part of many sports.
So my tackles were with my right side.
Ted Johnson took his share as a linebacker for the New England Patriots.
I've had maybe, 4, 5, 6 documented concussions.
Those were just the dizzying knockouts. By his count, Johnson suffered more than 100 mild concussions. Impossible to test for, a concussion is a vague injury, invisible, until now.
This is the brain of an athlete.
Right.
Is that right? That's
right.
the only thing you know at this point?
That's right.
How many brains have you looked at so far?
From athletes?
From athletes.
I think this makes 8.
And what have you found in the first 7?
They've all had changes of traumatic encephalopathy.
A new study confirms what some scientists have long suspected. Concussions start an injury cascade that looks like this.
I think what's been surprising is that it's so extensive. It's throughout the brain, not just on the superficial aspects of the brain, but it's also deep inside.
This is a healthy brain. And this is the brain of a former NFL player in his 40s. Those brown tangles, they indicate brain damage that could eventually kill cells. The trauma in this NFL player's brain looks a lot like damage in this brain, a 70-year-old who suffered from dementia.
Did it surprise you to see some of these things?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. To see the kind of changes we're seeing in 45-year-olds is basically unheard of.
Years removed from the football field, Ted Johnson is still tackling side effects of all those concussions: depression, headaches, anger issues.
I almost forgot what I was like before the hits. I couldn't remember, and I just lost myself for the last 3 years.
Johnson and former pro wrestler Chris Nowinski are part of the Sports Legacy Institute, which asks athletes to donate their brains to continue the study into the impact of concussion.
Is there a message for football players? Is there a message for the NFL in here?
Well, I think the message is that we need to identify what constitutes a significant head injury, and we need to treat it sufficiently. And I think that probably means resting an injury a lot more than we rest it.
So many of these changes typically take place in someone in their 70s or 80s. But as you've seen today, an athlete's brain is different. Sometimes these abnormalities, these changes, can take place in their 30s and 40s. And tomorrow, I'm going to show you just how young a brain can start to show some of these changes. I'll give you a clue. It's before they even graduate from high school. John and Karen, back to you.
Sanjay Gupta this morning, and in part 2 of Concussion and the Brain, lacrosse. It's a heavy contact sport. See what happened to a healthy teenage boy who got hit once too often. Dr. Gupta has got some potentially life-saving information for you.